why at a business of this size and this profitability are competitors not piling in? I've got the most interesting thing to talk to you about.
Say the best for last.
Everyone is going to love this business, okay? How many businesses do you know that make 50% profit before tax margins?
Step one? I know that's a bit lower.
Much lower.
It's about, what's that? Profit before tax. They make about
20-something percent?
Yeah, no, 25. 50% profit before tax. Can you give me a clue vaguely?
No clues. The answer is you don't know any. And
Nvidia? Well, that must be close.
I don't think that's 50% profit before tax. You can look that up if you like.
Hold on. 60 billion revenue. No, they are. They will be 50%.
No, so you're right. Nvidia's one of them.
Nvidia's actually a bit more.
Okay, so the Nvidia's one. That's a pretty good business.
Microsoft must be close.
So this business,
Google used to be till they spent too much money on stuff.
this business is not one of the big tech business. It's tech, but it's not big tech, and it does its
like 50, a Qualcomm or something like that, or
it does its 50% profit before tax margin on $1.3 billion. So it's not small. And in the last 3 years, it's paid $1 billion in dividends to its owners, and it's not a public company. One guy owns 75% of this business.
Would I have heard of this business?
Oh, you've certainly heard of it. There's some interesting things to talk about with this business.
Would Mike and Keelan have heard of this business?
Mike and Keelan would probably not admit that they've heard of this business, but they've definitely heard of this. They would say they've heard of it. They wouldn't admit to using this business.
OnlyFans?
It is. It's OnlyFans. And so their results have just come out from, someone found their results from 2020 to 2023.
We're not using TTV though as a mock, because TTV would be huge because they pay a lot out to creators, don't they?
There's so many great things to talk about with this business. I know I was hoping you'd be more awkward in talking about this, but we're just getting started. But
cash flows overcome awkwardness for me any day of the week.
It's such an interesting business to talk about on 3 levels.
Yeah.
One is the commercial side of it, which is the business itself and the profitability. One is the economics of what's going on here. And then obviously the societal stuff, but we probably won't dip too much into that.
Well, porn's been, if you look at the internet, like what's driven the internet, it's porn. It's
definitely.
Been payments and everything that
streaming video wouldn't exist without that. The very interesting thing, I'm going to tell you some facts about this business. I'm so excited to talk about this because it's so amazing. I should point out up front, I do have some big societal problems with this business.
Societal?
Well, it's a whole long conversation, but I'm not sure how I feel about
you're so
the accessibility of
puritanical.
Well, it's not. I'm not so puritanical. That's why I'm not sure about my view on this. But I do think it provides accessibility for people to make money, to try to make money by commoditizing their bodies. Predominantly, the fan base is almost entirely men, and the performers are almost entirely female.
Significantly better than prostitution.
Well, it is much better than I don't want to the thing is I don't want to go around and start judging what's better and what. It's not prostitution.
Absolutely not.
I'll talk about the economics of this business, but even before we say it's all porn, you know who might be the person who makes the most money off this platform?
The creators?
Yeah, but which creator?
Oh, I don't know specifics.
Iggy Azalea. And you don't know who Iggy Azalea is? She's a singer. Oh. And so she's not doing porn on this platform. Oh, okay. Yeah, she's releasing stuff. So
cool.
They found it.
Yeah.
She's what did I say? Singer, or a rapper. Exactly. She's a controversial rapper for cultural appropriation, accusational reasons. But I think she's very good.
Yeah.
So in one day, she made $300,000 on the platform. So people have extrapolated that she's making $100 million. She's not, okay? But the interesting thing about this platform is that the majority of what's on there is porn of one variety or another.
Have they tried to get rid of porn and it lasted about a week?
Notionally they did, yes. But I'm not sure they really were very committed to doing that.
I think they were until they realised the business was be dead.
Yeah, well, but there's enough of the main
that was manager mode, surely, who did that?
Half of the top 10 creators are non-porn content.
Really?
Yeah. And the people
that great Warren Buffett quote is when you're playing poker and you don't know who the patsy is, you're the patsy.
Yeah.
In my view is the patsy isn't the creators. The patsy is the people paying the creators. So
so let's talk about the interesting economics of this business. So it was bought in 2000. 75% was acquired in 2018 by a guy who had a long history in internet porn.
Oh, okay.
And
who is that?
I can't remember his name. He's a Ukrainian American.
Okay.
He lives in Florida.
Nice.
And so he bought it for probably not that much. I think the story is that this guy created it and his dad gave him 100,000 quid to build it. And his dad said, this is the last time I'm ever giving you money to do something. Turned out okay. I think he still owns 25% of it.
Oh, wow.
And so... And
what
then,
was its profitability last year?
So the numbers I said to you were 2023. So in 2023, it did 1.3 bill. I'm going to tell you what the TTV is in a second.
1.3 billion
revenue,
accounting revenue.
Yeah,
Post creator payments.
Yes, like the commission it takes off the platform, and it kept half of that. The year before,
When you say kept half of it, that's post marketing and tech costs. Everything.
before everything except tax.
Yep.
Then the year before that, it did 1.1 billion, so it grew 20%.
So this is COVID mania.
2022.
Yeah.
It did 1.1 bill, kept about half of it. And so it's growing at about 20%. So it's a bit, someone made a joke and said, this is basically a lifestyle business now growing 20% a year. Yes, except it's throwing off $600 million of cash. So this is an interesting question for you. Apple keeps 30% on its app store.
Big.
What percentage do they keep? What does OnlyFans keep?
I would feel about the same.
So they keep 20%.
Yeah.
What's interesting about this is, like, how are they able to still keep 20%? Like, why at a business of this size and this profitability are competitors not piling in? And I was thinking about this business in two ways. One is you've got the strategic power of the business itself, and then you've got the strategic power of each creator, which is basically each creator is basically a small business on this platform.
It's a network business.
We'll get to
powers.
The powers of the creators. But what do you think about the powers of the actual OnlyFans business? How can they manage
the network? It's a network.
Do you think? But
you've got both sides of the market.
You think about what the powers might be. Well, they don't have switching costs.
It's a classic network business.
But they don't have. All right, but they don't. It's a network business with content that is non-exclusive and no switching costs on either side of the marketplace.
But YouTube's exactly the same without the porn.
Well, but
YouTube's got no switching. You can go to TikTok, you can go wherever. YouTube's got a massive network effect. Most people, they've got the most users and the most creators.
They do.
And the more you get, the more it adds to the marketplace. This is a classic network.
Why couldn't X, formerly known as Twitter, create a version of this with the market power that they have and the brand awareness that they have?
Different brand. I don't, it's just not the different business.
So you think that this 20% margin is not ripe for the picking? You think that actually...
I think it feels about right. I think it feels about pretty fair, actually. If anything, it almost feels unders.
Really?
If you're a creator in this sense, where else could you go? Where are you going to go and get this kind of
Well, let's talk about
cash?
these creators. So it turns out, like the music industry and like the professional sports industry, the way that the money aggregates on this marketplace is to the top.
Yeah.
And so there are probably the top 0.1% that are making, some of them are making many millions of dollars a month on this. Yeah. Interestingly, not to go into too much detail on this, the person who seems to be like the highest earner is a woman who is on the north side of her 40s, as far as I can see. And so this doesn't necessarily follow all of the stereotypes. What's interesting is that I can tell you a fact about life, that the most promiscuous single group in society is young male homosexuals. This doesn't seem like it's their platform. The creators are predominantly female.
Yeah.
The consumers are predominantly male. It does seem to be what you might call a hits-based business. Like it all aggregates towards a few creators.
Yep.
And
I reckon there'd be a long tail though as well.
so when I did I have to confess, I didn't look at the platform itself in doing research for this.
I've never looked at
I don't even know if there's a website, if it's only an app or if there's a website as well.
I presume there's a website.
Definitely when
anybody admit to knowing where there's a website.
We can also, people can admit to it and say, I just go on there to just watch Iggy Azalea. But, but what's interesting is that if you go onto like Reddit and search about OnlyFans, there's lots of kind of Q&A on Reddit about how do I get to $10,000 a month in earnings, and basically nobody can do it. And it's mostly people complaining about having to earn $1 a minute doing one-on-one interactions with people. Is it
usually one-on-one or is it usually one-to-many?
Well, I think my understanding is this, and I think I talk about this because, you know, there's the commercials of the business, and then there's the way the economics works in a capitalist open marketplace like this. And so it turns out that brand is very important
of the creator
for the creator.
Yep.
And
how's discovery work?
Well, so this is the thing. Like, you have to try and create a brand, and a lot of people are creating brands off the platform, and then they're just using the platform for monetization and to get people to subscribe.
Which is great.
Someone said to me, it's like the love child of like Insta and YouTube,
Yeah.
And I think that, and with a bit of Netflix thrown in, but Netflix obviously doesn't have any usage-based pricing, whereas this is kind of all usage-based pricing. The more people you subscribe to, the more you pay. You subscribe to them, but the more of them you subscribe to.
You pay per watch? Or
you
how does
don't.
it, what's
I
the
think
revenue?
you pay some, like the average subscription fee is $7.50
subscribe
a month.
to a person.
Yeah, that's right.
And you can, and I always think of it as being a one-to-one platform. That implies that it's not a one-to-one. Because if you're a one-to-one,
so
surely
the way
you're paying
it
per
starts to build your brand when you don't have a brand is that, and this is, I should say, I'm uncomfortable because I'm a bit iffy about this. I said to you, like the place in society of this thing. But like, so if you don't have a brand and you have to start somewhere, what do you have? You have the ability to be very personalized with the person on the other side. So a way a lot of this starts is with one-on-one interactions and women complaining on Reddit about their time is worth more than $1 a minute.
Yeah.
Which seems to be
$50
the
an
going
hour.
rate, right?
Yeah.
Which is like not bad, but
Not terrible,
obviously
yeah.
like, you know, when you compare it to other lines of work, like it depends on how you feel this line of work fits in relative to other lines of work. And I think as people build their brands, which most people never do on the platform, they get to be able to start doing one-to-many content and start increasing their prices. But very few people get there. And so the interesting thing about this platform is, what I've noticed is that when I read the Herald Sun, about once every 2 weeks, there's a big article about someone that's come from an industry that was, in quotes, respectable and who now is making millions of dollars a year on OnlyFans. Right? And I think the reason those stories exist is because it's clickbait for the Herald Sun and it's clickbait for the creator. That's how they build their brand, right?
You know what? You know what I'm thinking? Contrarians gets an OnlyFans page and we'll answer questions to people.
Well, interestingly, there is a guy that
We'll be like Iggy Azalea, but for business content.
There is a guy that he's from Asia. I can't remember what country he's from, and he's a math tutor.
Yeah,
and he makes his money by getting men, like young men, like university students, subscribing to his YouTube channel and paying money.
Yeah.
And the way that he found is the best, most cost-effective acquisition is he advertises on Pornhub and puts his videos on Pornhub, and they get this because he's basically trying to go where the customer is.
Well, Pornhub would be great because obviously it's so taboo that I reckon the CPAs would be super low.
He literally isn't even, he's literally putting his whole videos up on there as videos, his tutorials, and he's using it as an acquisition technique. So
genius, this guy.
So I don't...
We should put our videos on there as well.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure about that. But like, again, I keep kind of hedging because like it's a longer discussion for me about how I feel about this more broadly, but I do think from an economic point of view, it's totally fascinating.
Yeah.
And what has happened with this that I definitely am in favour of is if you start off by saying we're not going to be in any way judgmental is the wrong word, but we're just going to consider this content like any other content, then what you have as a consequence of OnlyFans is that the creator now has perpetual ownership of their own intellectual property and can price it and keeps the majority of the money.
If you look at, and again, the porn industry is so exploitative. You got there's all the rape stuff. Like it's just a disgusting
for sure.
Industry.
I agree.
This is significantly better than that, and you don't have. I presume you don't have or much of the negative externalities you have as part of the porn. You said these people own their own IP.
Correct.
So you're cutting out OnlyFans as the middleman, and it's an honest middleman, and it's just a network.
It's just clipping 20%.
Clipping 20%, and versus whatever the porn producers, directors who God knows what they're doing.
That's right.
I'm sure you're getting a lot less than 20% there.
So it's transparent and it's like, I'm going to use the word very loosely, empowering to the creator to do what they want to do. The interesting question it raises legally though is this: making porn is illegal in a lot of American states. Really? Yeah. And so the question is whether doing this and then uploading it onto OnlyFans and monetizing it, would that be in breach of those laws? And so I think this is just about the purest marketplace play that you could find. And I think they should do the world a service and release anonymized data on all of the pricing that's going on the platform and consumption. I think there would just be fascinating economics papers that could be, it's even more interesting than dating sites.
Oh, way more.
This is the most interesting marketplace data. What a business.
Right. And can't wait to get our Contrarians page up because that's going to be super exciting.
It's going to be a solo page. I just want to point that out.